I mean, but really life's all about recovery for everybody. And I think it's just been, for me, a lesson in being patient with myself. And I just kept saying the phrase, and now I say to everybody, we're right on time. Mm-hmm. Wherever you are in life, you're right on time. Yeah. And just trust it.
Vince Gill, one of country music's biggest legends, is facing a shocking final decision. Now, if you've been following Vince Gill's journey, you know he's been through his fair share of challenges. But this might be the toughest moment of his life. His wife, Amy Grant, the gospel and country icon herself, is fighting a serious health battle. And let me tell you, it's not just a minor setback hit, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Grab a seat because we're about to dive into one of the most emotional stories in country music history. Amy Grant's heart condition. You know how life sometimes throws you the wildest surprises when you least expect them? Well, that's exactly what happened to Amy Grant. She thought she was just tagging along with her husband, Vince Gill, for a routine heart checkup. Little did she know that simple visit would flip her entire world upside down. So here's how it all went down. Vince Gill had an appointment with his cardiologist doctor, John Cage, just to make sure everything was fine with his heart. Everything checked out great for him. But as they were wrapping up, Dr. Cage casually turned to Amy and asked, "Hey, how are you feeling?" And Amy, being Amy, just brushed it off. "Oh, I'm fine," she said. But Dr. Cage wasn't buying it. He knew that heart disease ran in her family, and something told him he should take a closer look. At first, Amy thought it was no big deal. She agreed to some tests, probably thinking they were just being extra cautious. But then the results came back and they were not what she expected. Turns out she had a rare congenital heart defect called partial anomalous pulmonary venous return, or PAPVR for short. Ever heard of it? Yeah, neither had Amy. It's so rare that only about 0.7% of people have it. And Amy had no idea she had been living with it her whole life. Vince Gill has spent decades as one of country music's most beloved voices. But now, his world has taken a heartbreaking turn. A decision has been made, and there's no going back. At the same time, his wife, Amy Grant, is facing a health battle that no one saw coming. Fans are left wondering, how much more can this couple take? Stick with us, because by the time we reach the end, you'll understand just how life-changing this moment is for Vince Gill. Now let's break this down. In a normal, healthy heart, oxygen-rich blood from the lungs flows into the left atrium, then gets pumped out to the rest of the body. But with PAPVR, some of the veins from the lungs connect to the wrong part of the heart. So instead of going to the left atrium like they're supposed to, they dump oxygen-rich blood into the right atrium, where it gets mixed with oxygen-poor blood. Basically, it's like pouring fresh, clean water into a dirty bucket instead of the clean one. And what happens? The heart has to work overtime to keep up, and over time, that can cause serious problems: shortness of breath, lung infections, heart rhythm issues, and even heart failure. Amy looked back on her life and started putting the pieces together. She realized she had been experiencing symptoms, but she never thought they had anything to do with her heart. She had felt an irregular heartbeat for nearly 10 years. Her ability to sing, her voice, had been declining, and for the last 5 years she struggled to breathe deeply. But here's the thing, she just assumed all of that was normal. "I remember a couple times telling Vince, 'I feel like I'm suffocating,'" she later admitted. "It's the weirdest thing. I'm breathing as deep as I can, but it just doesn't feel like enough." And yet in her mind, none of that pointed to a heart problem. But Dr. Cage laid it out for her in the most chilling way possible. He looked her in the eye and said, "Amy, you'll be fine, fine, fine." And then catastrophic. Those words hit like a ton of bricks. It wasn't a matter of if something bad would happen, it was when. And when it happened, it wouldn't be gradual. It would be sudden. One day, she'd be going about her life, feeling fine, and the next, she could be gone. No warning, no second chances. And that's when she realized this wasn't something she could ignore. She needed surgery, and she needed it now. The doctors told her she had to get the procedure before she turned 60. The risks were just too high to wait any longer. So she made the decision to put everything on hold. Her concerts, her travel plans, her normal life, and focus on taking care of her heart. She announced her diagnosis publicly in February 2020 during Heart Health Awareness Month. Because if her story could help even one person catch a hidden heart condition, it would be worth it. The first good news is that I am completely asymptomatic. The second good news is that it's fixable, she told her fans. So instead of concerts and camping trips this summer, I am going to take care of my heart. Looking back, she believes it was pure fate that led her to that doctor's office that day. If she hadn't gone with Vince, if Dr. Cage hadn't asked that one simple question, who knows what might have happened? She later said, "I just think sometimes, in all of our jobs, we have what we're trained for, and then beyond that, there's an intuition, an inspiration. And that intuition, that tiny gut feeling from Dr. Cage, saved her life." The road to recovery after heart surgery. When Amy Grant came out of open heart surgery in June 2020, she probably had no idea just how long and challenging the road to recovery would be. But if there's one thing about Amy, it's that she doesn't back down from a challenge. Less than a week after the procedure, she described feeling miraculous, which says a lot about her determination and positive spirit. But let's be real, recovering from heart surgery is no small thing. It takes time, patience, and an incredible amount of willpower. There are good days when you feel like you're getting stronger, and then there are those frustrating days when even the simplest tasks feel impossible. And for Amy, who had spent decades singing, performing, and keeping up with a demanding career, slowing down wasn't exactly in her nature. But sometimes life forces you to take a step back, and that's exactly what she had to do. The first few weeks after surgery were rough. There's no sugarcoating it. The body goes through a lot during an operation like that, and it doesn't just bounce back overnight. For Amy, one of the biggest hurdles was dealing with the physical side effects that come with healing. Muscle stiffness, difficulty breathing, extreme fatigue. Her body was adjusting, and it wasn't easy. Imagine going from being able to perform on stage for hours to suddenly feeling exhausted just from walking across the room. That's the reality of post-surgical recovery. And let's talk about sleep, because getting good rest after heart surgery, nearly impossible. Many patients struggle with insomnia or disrupted sleep patterns, and Amy was no exception. The body is trying to heal, but at the same time, everything feels uncomfortable. It's hard to find a good sleeping position. There's discomfort around the incision site, and sometimes, no matter how tired you are, sleep just doesn't come. Doctors say that sleep patterns usually go back to normal within a few weeks, but when you're in the middle of it, it feels like forever. And then there's food, or more accurately, the lack of interest in it. After surgery, it's common to lose your appetite or just feel too drained to eat. Amy had to adjust to smaller, more frequent meals, making sure she was getting the right nutrients without overloading her system. Low fat, low sodium, high protein, basically, eating all the things that help your body heal. Of course, none of this would have been possible without a solid support system. And Amy had that in her husband, Vince Gill. He completely rearranged his life to be there for her, which honestly is exactly what you'd expect from him. He's always been devoted to her, but during this time, he really stepped up. The pandemic had already cleared his schedule, which, in a strange way, turned out to be a blessing because it meant he could focus 100% on Amy. But being a caregiver also comes with its own set of challenges. No matter how much love you have for someone, watching them struggle and not being able to fix it is tough. There were probably moments when Vince felt helpless, moments when the stress of the situation got to him, but he never let it show. And that's the thing about strong relationships. Even in the hardest times, you show up. He made sure Amy had the support she needed, both physically and emotionally, because recovery isn't just about healing the body. It's about feeling safe, loved, and reassured that you're not in this alone. By early 2021, about 8 months after the surgery, Amy was finally starting to feel like herself again. She even appeared on Good Morning America, looking radiant and full of energy, saying she felt fantastic. And that's when you know someone has truly turned a corner in their healing journey. When they can say without hesitation that they feel good. one thing that helped her regain her strength, swimming. She said she was probably in the best shape she had been in for 20 years, and honestly, that's incredible. It's proof that even after something as major as heart surgery, it's possible to come back stronger. But recovery isn't just about the physical side, it's about mental and emotional healing too. Amy realized she needed to find a better balance between her music, her family, and her personal well-being. Life had forced her to slow down, and instead of fighting it, she embraced it. She also became a huge advocate for heart health awareness. If there's one thing she learned from this whole experience, it's that people often don't know something is wrong until it's too late. She encouraged others to pay attention to their health, get checkups, and take care of themselves. Take a minute and take care of yourself, she said, and that's advice everyone should listen to. Sometimes we get so caught up in life that we ignore the warning signs our bodies give us. Amy's experience was a reminder that health should never be taken for granted. Vince Gill is known for his smooth voice, his kind heart, and his legendary career. But behind the fame and the music, a storm is brewing. His fate has been sealed, and there's no turning back. On top of that, Amy Grant is facing a serious health challenge. And Vince is right by her side. What's happening behind closed doors? Stick with us, because as we uncover the truth, you'll see why this moment will change Vince's life forever. The devastating bicycle accident of 2022. Amy Grant has always been known for her resilience, but 2022 really put that to the test. Just when she was finally feeling like herself again, after undergoing heart surgery, life threw her another curveball. This time in the form of a terrifying bicycle accident. And the worst part? It happened when she was in what she described as the best shape she had been in a long time, maybe 20 years. It all started as a simple, relaxing bike ride, nothing extreme, nothing dangerous. Just Amy and a friend enjoying the summer air, riding through Percy Warner Park near the Harpeth Hills Golf Course in Nashville. It was the kind of day where everything felt easy. Good conversation, nice breeze, the sun shining just right. But then, out of nowhere, disaster struck. Amy's front bike wheel hit a 4-inch deep pothole, and before she even had time to react, she was airborne. Thankfully, Amy had been wearing a helmet, and honestly, that might have saved her life. Can you even imagine how much worse it could have been without it? Her spokesperson made sure to emphasize that point later, reminding everyone how crucial helmets are. But even with that protection, the accident was bad, really bad. She was out cold for somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes. When the medical team arrived, they wasted no time rushing her to Vanderbilt University Medical Center. At first, the doctors were focused on the obvious injuries, cuts, bruises, the physical damage from the fall. Her face was badly bruised and she was in rough shape. But you know what one of the first things she said in the hospital was? "I can't believe I still have all my teeth." Can you believe that? Only Amy Grant could find humor in a situation like that. But as the doctors kept evaluating her, it became clear that this was about more than just bruises. The real issue wasn't what they could see, it was what they couldn't. Amy had suffered a traumatic brain injury. And if you know anything about TBIs, you know they're no joke. It's not like breaking a bone where you have a clear recovery timeline. Brain injuries are unpredictable. One day you feel fine, the next you're forgetting things you should definitely remember. And that's exactly what happened to Amy. She struggled with short-term memory problems, balance issues, and perhaps the hardest thing for a musician, trouble recalling song lyrics. Think about that. This is someone who has spent her entire life making music, who has probably sung some of her songs thousands of times, and suddenly those lyrics weren't coming to her the way they used to. That had to be terrifying. And Amy, being Amy, handled it with the kind of grace and humor most people wouldn't be able to muster. She joked about feeling like she was walking around drunk and admitted, "I can't remember what I can't remember." And that's the scary part, right? It's one thing to forget something and know you've forgotten it, but to not even realize there are things missing from your memory, that's a whole different level of unsettling. Yet, instead of letting it break her, she found ways to laugh through it, to accept it as part of the journey. And through all of this, her husband, Vince Gill, never left her side. The moment he found out about the accident, his first instinct was to drop everything and be there for her. Within 24 hours of Amy's hospitalization, he canceled 3 major shows. 1 in Charlotte, North Carolina, and 2 in Tysons, Virginia. No hesitation, no second thoughts. He just knew he needed to be with her. And here's the thing, he didn't even try to reschedule them. That alone tells you how serious it was. Vince is a professional. He knows how to juggle career and personal life. But in that moment, nothing mattered more than Amy. His next scheduled performance wasn't until the following week at Nashville's Ryman Auditorium. And even then, you have to wonder if his mind was really on music or if it was still at his wife's bedside. And then there's the comment Amy made after she regained consciousness, "I needed this." Now, what does that mean? It's a strange thing to say after such a traumatic experience, right? But Amy has always been deeply reflective, and maybe, in some way, she saw this accident as a wake-up call, a forced slowdown, a moment to step back and reevaluate things. Sometimes life has a way of knocking us off our feet, literally, in her case, to get us to pay attention to something we might have been ignoring. Maybe this accident, as awful as it was, gave Amy some perspective she didn't even realize she needed. Recovery wasn't easy, and is still an ongoing process. Brain injuries don't just heal overnight, but Amy Grant is nothing if not resilient. She's faced so many challenges in her life, and each time she's come out stronger. This accident was no different. She leaned on her faith, her family, and her signature sense of humor to get through it. And even though there were moments of frustration, moments where she probably wanted to scream from the sheer unfairness of it all, she kept going, because that's just who she is. Vince Gill has always been a fighter. Through the ups and downs of fame, love, and life, he's remained a steady force in country music. But now, things have taken a devastating turn. A decision has been made, and is final. At the same time, Amy Grant is dealing with a health challenge that has left fans praying for her recovery. There's more to this story than meets the eye. And trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for the jaw-dropping final update. Vince Gill's Unwavering support system. Amy Grant has been through some rough times in the past few years, but if there's one thing that has kept her grounded, it's the unwavering support of her husband, Vince Gill. And honestly, if there's an award for Husband of the Year, Vince deserves it. Amy has spoken so openly about how much his presence has meant to her through all her health battles. Vince is just steady, she once said, and that's probably the best way to describe him. No dramatics, no fuss, just pure, unwavering love and support. And let's be real, that kind of steady presence, that's exactly what you need when life decides to throw one health crisis after another at you. When Amy had her bicycle accident in July 2022, Vince didn't even hesitate. He canceled his upcoming 3 weekend concerts just like that. No rescheduling, no trying to juggle things. He just knew that being by Amy's side was more important. And that tells you everything you need to know about the kind of man he is. In the music industry, where schedules are planned months, sometimes years in advance, canceling shows is a big deal. But for Vince, family always came first. And if you think about it, the timing of everything was almost eerie. The pandemic, as chaotic as it was, ended up being a strange kind of blessing for them. With concerts and events being shut down, Vince already had a cleared calendar when Amy needed to recover from her heart surgery. It was like the universe made sure he had the time and space to be there for her. No distractions, no outside obligations. And you just know that meant the world to Amy. But here's the sweetest part. Vince didn't just take care of Amy in the typical, let me get you water and make sure you take your meds way. He used music, and honestly, can you imagine anything more comforting than having one of country music's greatest artists serenading you through your recovery? Amy has said that probably not a week goes by that Vince won't say, if you need me to hold you, just sit down here beside me and put your head on my shoulder. I mean, come on, cue the tears. This is the kind of love people dream about. And it's not just words. Vince's whole approach to life is reflected in the way he cares for Amy. Whether he's just playing the guitar in the background, producing a record, or simply being there for her, he sees it all as part of the same creative, meaningful journey. And then there's their daughter, Karina. If you ever need proof that Amy and Vince raised an incredible human being, just look at how she stepped up during her mom's recovery. She wasn't just there behind the scenes, she brought her love and support right onto the stage. After Amy's bike accident, Vince had a performance at Nashville's Ryman Auditorium, and Karina joined him on stage. They performed his song, When My Amy Prays. But here's where it gets emotional. Karina changed the lyrics to, When My Mama Prays. Just imagine that moment. The entire audience felt it. She choked up, the crowd applauded, and you could feel the love and emotion pouring out of that performance. It was one of those moments that revealed just how deep family bonds run. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.